What's going on, guys? My name is Drew, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in 2020, and if you should buy it, or if maybe it's not worth it anymore. So let's get started. So real quick, I just want to mention that I have a Discord server now, and there's no one on it yet, but I hope by talking about it in this video I can get some people to join, and in the description of my video there's going to be a link to it, and as well as in the pinned comment of the video. So I'm excited to see you guys there, and we can just really talk about anything like video games and stuff like that. So to answer the question, should you buy Breath of the Wild in 2020, we're going to be taking a look at two different things. So some reasons why you should buy it, and then the reasons why you shouldn't buy it. And then at the end, I'm going to give you my final thoughts, whether I think you should or shouldn't, just like a conclusion of the video. So let's get started with the reasons why you should. So the first one is that it's a really fun game. So this is pretty obvious. Most people know that Breath of the Wild is an amazing game. And if you're coming across this video, you've probably watched other reviews of the game before you've seen this one, just because Breath of the Wild is one of the most popular Switch games. I don't know if it's the most popular, but it's an incredible game. It's super good. And so that is definitely a huge reason why you should buy it. That is good. Now, the next reason is that it's on the Wii U and the Switch. So that kind of sounds a little bit weird. Why would you ever want to play it on the Wii U? But if you want to get it for a lot cheaper, and maybe you don't even have a Switch, then it's definitely worth it, because it's so much cheaper and it's the same game. It only runs at 720p on the Switch, so it's not really going to be a huge quality difference between the Wii U and the Switch, except there's sometimes pop-in when you're playing on the Wii U. So it's just slightly worse, but you can get it for a lot cheaper, just if you want to. And then the next thing is that there's tons of value in the game. There's just so much to do in Breath of the Wild. You can really, if you 100% it, you would spend so many hours on it that, it would just be crazy. So it's such a good game that you probably will never, completely finish it unless you are really, grinding it. So even if you buy it at the full $60 price on the Nintendo Switch, you're still going to get your money's worth for sure. Even though it is quite expensive, it's definitely worth the money for how much time you can spend on this game. Now, if you don't want to spend that full $60 on it on the Switch, you could either buy it on the Wii U, as I said before, or you could buy it used. So because it's been out for a few years now, I think 3 in total, buying the game used is definitely an option, because a lot of people are already done with the game. They've already bought it, they played it all the way through, and they're pretty much done with it. They want to sell it and get some of their money back that they paid for it. And then, so that's a huge opportunity for you to go and get it for possibly even half the price or something. If the case of the game is all scratched up, you could get it for even cheaper. I honestly don't really care if the case of the game is scratched up and then you can just get it for cheaper. I think that's worth it. It really depends if you think that's a good idea or not, because some people, they definitely do care about just stuff like the case and the cartridge, the sticker on the cartridge. But for me personally, I don't mind it, and you can get the game for a lot cheaper just by buying it used. Now the next thing is that there's DLC for the game. So if you have basically played everything that you can in the game, you've done as much as you can buy the DLC packs. I think there's 2, and you get to do extra boss fights. You get to unlock the Master Cycle Zero, and there's just a bunch of other stuff in the game that is really, really good that you can pretty much just get for not that much. You can just get more stuff. Instead of buying an entirely new game, you can just buy the DLC. Now onto the reasons why you should not buy Breath of the Wild in 2020. This is probably what I used in the thumbnail, is that the sequel will... So this is probably what I used in the thumbnail for the video. I said that the sequel will probably replace it, and that is pretty much true. I do think that will happen. The thing is, that's not going to happen too soon, because most people think that Breath of the Wild's coming out in 2021. There are some rumors and stuff that it's coming out in 2020, and it would definitely make a lot of sense for it to come out as a holiday title for 2020, but most people are saying it will come out in 2021, and I think that is probably the most likely case. But I would really like it if it came out in 2020, because there really isn't any other games that are planned to come out, so I just really hope it does happen. But what that means is that it's pretty soon before Breath of the Wild is going to get replaced, and if you just buy Breath of the Wild and the sequel comes out and it's better, then that's not going to be a good thing. Now, the next reason why you shouldn't is, well, I just kind of mentioned it there, but the sequel is probably going to be a way better game, because they pretty much have the base of the game already, and then all this time they're probably working on the story and everything like that, and then they can pretty much just improve on all the flaws that Breath of the Wild actually had, and just literally just make it a better game. So I highly doubt that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be any worse than Breath of the Wild. I really think that it's going to be a better game. So maybe you just want to get that game instead when it comes out, and then you pretty much just get better value for the amount of money that you're paying. Something else about it is that it has a darker story, and this might be interesting to somebody who maybe they played Majora's Mask. That's another one with a dark story. It seems like it's going to be a more interesting story, and it just kind of seems like it might even be just better than the regular one. I don't really know for sure. We don't know much about the story at all. It definitely does seem creepy. But the sequel is probably only going to be on Switch. If you have a Wii U, then Breath of the Wild's your only option. You're not going to be able to get the sequel on the Wii U. You're going to have to get a Switch for that. But if it does come out in 2020, as I said earlier, it's unlikely. But if it does, it will probably come out in a holiday bundle. You'll probably be able to buy Breath of the Wild 2 with the Switch, just for the price of the Switch. I think that's possible, that could happen, but I obviously don't know. I don't work at Nintendo. But that could be an option for getting the game pretty much for free if you don't already own a Switch. So now that I mentioned that, you might be thinking that you'd rather get the sequel over the original, but one question that you might have is, could I play the sequel without playing the original? Like, let's say you only have $60, you want to buy one game, should you buy the sequel or the original? I'd say you buy the sequel if it's out pretty soon, just because I think it's going to be better, and I highly doubt that they're going to make it so you actually have to know the story from Breath of the Wild 1 to enjoy Breath of the Wild 2. So I think that you'll just be able to enjoy Breath of the Wild 2 completely fine without knowing anything about Breath of the Wild 1. So if the sequel were to come out soon, I definitely recommend that over Breath of the Wild 1. But now let's get on to my final thoughts about the game. I think you should buy Breath of the Wild. Now, if you've kind of been listening to this whole video, you probably know the reasons why, but we don't know when Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out. It could be 2020, it could be 2021, and most people say 2021, so that makes it so it's like, you probably don't want to wait that long to play Breath of the Wild. You probably just want to get it as soon as you can, and Breath of the Wild 2, it's probably not coming out for a long time. And another thing is, I don't think it's going to be that much better than the original, so if you just want to buy it right now, I think you can do that. I definitely think that it's probably the better idea. I definitely think it's probably, I don't know, but it's probably the better idea to just buy it right now, because I doubt that the sequel is going to be like insanely good. I don't think it's going to be way better than the original one. And then if you really do enjoy Breath of the Wild, since the sequel might come out in a long time, you'll maybe be able to save up more money, and so you'll be able to have the first one and the second one. And so if you did enjoy the first one so much like I did, then you'll want to get the second one, obviously. So since it's coming out in such a long time, you probably will be able to save up enough money for it by then. It's not like it's coming out tomorrow or anything. We don't know when it's coming out. Nobody really does, except probably people who work at Nintendo. So I hope you found this video helpful if you're deciding whether or not you want to buy Breath of the Wild. And if you notice that, so I just recently changed the entire look of my channel. If you guys noticed that, that's pretty cool, but I honestly don't think it really fits with my channel that well. It seems really professional and stuff, and I don't think it really fits with a gaming channel as well as I thought it would. So it's possible that that will change in the future. That's all for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.